Welcome to the meeting of the Fall River Sewer Commission that's being held on March 18th.
Hey, you want me to go in the other room?
No.
This meeting is held in a virtual Zoom. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Mr. Ferlin, will you do the roll call, please?
Yep, President Almeida,
Here?
Member Souza,
Here.
Member Bernia,
Here.
Member Howiak.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. All four members of the City of Fall River Sewer Commission are participating in the March 18th, 2021 meeting remotely. I, President Ned Almeida, Commissioner Richard Souza, Commissioner Ron Bernia, and Commissioner Renee Howiak are all participating remotely.
Thank you.
I believe we were all sent with the agenda for today. First item on the list is a citizen input. Has there been any submittals or requests for citizen input?
No, there has not been any citizens input submitted.
Okay. Then that takes us to item number 2, minutes of the previous meeting. As usually is the case, the minutes of previous meeting held on January 28th has been submitted to us previously for our review. If you've had the opportunity to look at it and have no changes to it or any comments to it, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting held on January 28th.
Make a motion.
Anybody second that?
A second.
Okay, we're gonna do a roll call on this, I believe.
Yes. President Almeida,
Yes,
Member Souza,
Yes.
Member Bernia,
Yes.
Member Howiak.
Yes.
Thank you.
all right, thank you. Okay, item number 3, open meeting law complaints. I believe we were all sent information that outlines the 3 complaints that were issued on January 28th by Mr. Colin Dias. I've had the opportunity to look at the complaints. They range from having, just to illustrate here, the meeting was held, a meeting held on January 28th by the Fall River Sewer Commission. It indicates that the meeting was held on Zoom. However, the notice stated that the address from of Fall River City Hall created confusion and a violation of the open meeting law. In addition to that, another complaint talks about the commission having to revise the time on the meeting that was held on the 28th. And I guess it was felt as though that was a violation because it was done within 48 hours of the original notice of 2 p.m. And the third talks about the commission acknowledging the complaints that were issued at that point and having a question as to how the complaint was submitted with respect to us dealing with Mr. Ferlin. So in each case, we also have presented to us a copy of a draft that's being presented by Mr. Ferlin, and that's going to be used, if we approve, to submit as response to these complaints. Now, does any of you commissioners have any response or comments you want to make with respect to these complaints? If not, I think we ought to just go ahead and approve or make a motion to approve the draft responses to each one of these complaints that's been submitted by Mr. Ferlin, so that we can meet the date of April 7th when the final response to these complaints has to be made.
I do have a comment on the 25th, the violation that occurred on January 25th. I think in our response, we should be more specific as to why we complied. I think there's some language in the law regarding revising the agenda. So I know it was only from 1 hour to the next, but if we can just maybe include in our response the language of the regulation or of the law that states why within 48 hours we're able to make the revision. So I believe if it's something it was unanticipated and we had to change the time. Because I believe the open meeting law division will probably come back to us with that same question. Why did we have to do it?
Yep, no, definitely, I will add that in. I will add that into the response. I am familiar with what you're talking about. Within 48 hours, if something anticipated comes up to the chair, that they're able to adjust the agenda as needed. So I will add in some language into our response about that.
So let me just get some clarification on what you're saying, Renee. In the future, if we have a meeting that's posted, and let's just say it's set up to go on at 2:00 in the afternoon, and one of us has a emergency situation that comes up where it requires us to change that time to either a later time or an earlier time, and the request to do it is done within 48 hours of the original date and time, you're saying that that should be valid to do without any complaint. Is that what you're saying?
I believe so.
So just on that, the one caveat to that would be, and I spoke to the AG's office on these complaints as well. The one caveat to that would be moving forward, moving the time forward closer, so then you may not have the 48 hours of posting if you enter ahead of time. The recommendation, if you had to do that, would be to cancel the meeting and reschedule it. Also, if you're moving it to a later date, that at that original stated time of the meeting, that you put something up so the general public would know that the meeting is rescheduled. So if it does show up for that meeting at that time, they know that it was rescheduled to a later date or time.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think that would make a good thing to do, to post it in the response.
Yep, definitely. I will add that to the response.
Anybody have any other comments they want to make with respect to this?
In this particular, I do.
Go ahead.
In this particular case where it was moved up an hour earlier, then what would you have done? Because it was not anything that we suggested, is if it's the cable people that were producing the show, that's as far as I understand. Am I correct?
Well, that one was because of a personal emergency that one of our members had, one of the board members had. We moved it up in time. At that point, in the future, what I would do would be to recommend to cancel that meeting and do a new meeting with the proper 48 hours.
Oh, okay. I thought it was what I mentioned. Never mind. I didn't realize it was an emergency on somebody else's part. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to go one step further, just for more clarity in my mind.
Yep.
had the commissioner who had requested the time because of emergency reasons had done so, let's say 4 or 5 hours before
Mhm.
the time in which the meeting was to be held. In that particular case, um, would we have just said, okay?
So my recommendation at that point, based on the interpretations that I've heard of the law, would be if we were moving it to a later time within, say an hour later, if we were moving it an hour later.
No, what I'm saying, Paul, is the person, an individual notifies us, let's say 5 hours before
Yep,
the 2 o'clock, and says, look, can you make it for 1 o'clock? Okay. But
Yep.
she gave us plenty of notice, like 5, 6 hours ahead. Then in that particular case, is there any issue with that?
yeah, based on the determinations, the interpretations that I've heard of the open meeting law, that meeting should be canceled, reposted with 48 hours notice. So rescheduled for a later date.
That's good.
Okay. All right. You see, my original thinking was just totally opposite.
Yes, again, that was always my thinking as well. I agree. So,
All right, okay. Any other comments with regard to these
Nope.
complaints? If not, again, I think we ought to have a motion to approve the draft responses that Mr. Ferlin has submitted to us for use in the original responses that he'll be making.
and designate me to respond to the responses.
Yeah, as so stated. Anybody want to make that motion?
Make that motion.
And anybody second?
Second,
Okay, roll call. And listen, before we take the roll call, I want to understand that we're talking about
Three.
all 3 complaints,
Mhm.
okay? That this motion is for all 3 complaints. All right, roll call.
President Almeida,
Yes.
Member Souza,
Yes.
Member Vernia,
Yes.
Member Howiak.
yes.
Excellent.
All right, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is to propose West Construction change order. Change order number 3 to contract number 1 for the wastewater treatment facility improvement project in the amount of $104,086.99. Paul, is there anything you want to add to that?
So presented within your packet is a list of the change orders. There's a total of 8 items on that change order. Some are credits, some are additional above and beyond. There are things in here that were unforeseen conditions that we had to deal with once either something was dug up and uncovered. There are other things in here that were owner requested. So existing parking lot, we had in the plan to do a certain size additional parking lot with the modifications to contract 2 and the change of the contract 2. We're able to expand that parking lot to allow parking for contractor personnel on site. So that stuff like that is owner requested. We requested it, agreed on a price to be done, and the work was done. We've gone through these change orders ourselves in our engineer, and all of the costs seem in line with the work to be done.
I got a question. With respect to the expansion of the existing parking lot, I took a trip by the plant today. Are we looking at if you went to the gate, the area to the right, or is it to the area to the left?
The area to the left. So
Yeah.
so if you're driving in the gate from Bay Street, the area to the left, to the south side,
Okay,
paved parking area.
all right, all right. Okay. I was also surprised, I guess it was about time when you consider the scope of this, but the incinerator tower is gone. It looks like uh, the facility that housed that, and the incinerator and so forth, that's all gone,
Correct.
all right?
That
Yeah.
building's been there since 1948. That was part of the original construction of the wastewater treatment facility.
Yeah, yeah. It's, if I can remember, on that building, was there a plaque that was a dedication to, was it John Capone or somebody? I believe that was part of that was on that building. I was wondering if anybody saw it and took it and, might have taken it and relocated it.
That plaque was actually on the dewatering building, which is still the existing standing part of the
All right,
building.
okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't, all right. It's the John Capone, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, all right. I remember that. Okay. Anybody have any questions with respect to what we're trying to do here?
No,
If you want, I can just do a little broad overview of.
Yeah, go ahead.
While we're on there too. Up on the screen, you see some of the duct banks that we had to run. The one on the top right-hand side is right out in between the admin building and the dewatering building. The duct banks underground for the electrical conduits. The ones down the bottom here are right off the back of the intermediate pump station. So pretty substantial duct banks that had to be run during this project to repower about 80% of the plant. Left-hand side is a picture of the new, the temporary control room building that is on site since we took out. On the right-hand side here is a picture of where the old control room used to be, which is now the boiler room. The boilers are up and running. They have been running through most of the winter. They were fired up in December, and they've been operating very, very well. We're working to try to get some additional rebates for the energy savings with those boilers.
What type boilers went in? Do you have an idea?
I'd be lying if I told you I knew the manufacturer off the top of my head.
Okay.
But they're 98% efficient condensating boilers. There's 3 of them that we installed to replace the 2 old. They were probably 78 or 75% efficient boilers that we had in there.
Now, all right, are they strictly hot water boilers or any of it steam?
So they're strictly hot water boilers. Those boilers provide hot water for the dewatering building,
Right.
the old incinerator building, but it'll be the new building that's going to be constructed during contract 2. We also have the admin building is fed from those boilers, as well as the maintenance building.
Okay. Very good.
is that hot water for heating?
Hot water for heating, yes, and separate
Okay.
hot water tanks.
Okay.
Okay. With these modifications from this change order, will it have any effect on meeting the, I think it's the July 21st completion date?
Nope, so none of these will have any impact on the completion date of the contract.
Okay, that's good. All right, anybody have any other questions with respect to this?
No, that's fine.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve change order number
3.
3. Is that, yeah, change order number 3 to for the amount of $104,086.99. Anybody want to make that motion?
Make the
I'll make
motion.
a motion.
Anybody second it?
Second.
Roll call?
President Almeida,
Yes?
Member Souza,
Yes,
Member Bernier,
Yes.
Member Howiak.
I didn't hear it.
Member
Yeah.
Howiak.
Sorry, yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, that takes us next item, which is the water maintenance complex project. We received a notification of an award to Mill City Construction to the amount of $8,144,386, which is being done under the auspices of the Water Department. Am I correct, Mr. Berlin?
Yes, that is correct.
And that it's my understanding that this complex will have some bearing as to helping the sewer commission. And
Yep.
as a result, it will require the sewer commission to pay $2.5 million of that tab. Am I correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So go ahead. Do you want to?
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to convince us as to why we should allow that to happen?
I will give you my presentation.
Go ahead.
So as the letter stated, we are constructing a new water maintenance facility. So this is the building that's known as 1620 Bedford Street. It's at the top of Bedford Street where Stonehaven and Bedford Street meet. It's the red brick building that's on the hill. That's currently where our water maintenance staff is housed out of, along with storage for our pots, meter shop, backflow inspection office. Across the street, behind the 1875 water tower, is the garage space that we have up there. We started about 5 years ago looking to potentially redo that facility. The building has some structural issues that would need to be dealt with, and just the overall programming of the building, or trying to while dealing with the structural issues just didn't seem viable at the time. We went through and we looked on what we could do to possibly redo this building. We came up with the water maintenance complex that we're going to be constructing. So this complex is just to the north of the existing building. It will be constructed. On the screen, you'll be able to see a picture of the building.
That's impressive.
Thank you. My whole entire thing with this building is it's a utilitarian building. I had to really kind of pull the reins on the architects, and me and the architects kind of went at it a couple of times to really scale this thing back so it wasn't, I told them I'm not building a Taj Mahal here. Have a little bit of architectural details to make it, so it's not just a square box, but, I'm not paying tons of money for architectural enhancements, because that doesn't help the water maintenance guys or the sewer guys get their job done. So this building, the front half of it, where the tan area is, first floor, that's going to be the water admin building. So all the admin staff that's housed in 1620 now will now have offices in there. The back half of this building is going to be storage for water department trucks. It's going to store and house our Vector trucks, which the sewer department currently rents space for that. There's also a wash bay in the very back that's required by the city's MS4 permit, so municipal small stormwater system permit, issued and funded by the sewer department. The second floor in the front half will be open space for now, for future admin expansion if needed.
Well,
And
how How many square feet we're looking at here?
We're looking at about 80 by 180.
That's a good size.
Yeah, it's a substantial building. The overall floor plan, should be my next slide. So this is an overview of the building and the footprint.
Okay.
So currently, this is where the water tanks are, just to the south of Bedford Street. This is Bedford Street coming in.
Right.
This is Stonehaven Road over here. So our current building sits right in this area. This is where the new water maintenance building will be built, just to the north in the wooded area. We're going to maintain the two existing curb cuts so to not impact the residents anymore. The current curb cut that we use to enter the building will be for customers only coming in to pick up water meters or anything of that. The current Bedford Street, where we enter with the majority of our trucks now, will have a side ramp over here, which leads you up to be able to go into the building.
So you plan on knocking down the old complex?
Yeah, so once it's phased, so the contractor will be able to construct this facility. We'll stay in our existing facility while they construct this one. We'll move over, then they'll finish up all the site work. So
Question,
yes,
is the destruction of the existing building part of this price?
yes, it's included in this contract.
Very good, thank you, Paul.
Um,
Go ahead.
Paul, what's the timetable on this? How are we going to pay? If we approve this tonight, where's the 22.5 million going to come from? Because I don't remember seeing that on the $120 million bond issue that we had.
Yeah, so we have open authorization. So a lot of this is related to MS4 and CSO work. So the VACTIS does a majority of our CSO work and stuff like that. So we have the open authorization from the 70 million that'll be slated to do this work.
Okay. Just how is this going to benefit the sewer commission?
Yep, so that's where I'm getting into it right now. So storage area back over here, this space back here will be for the Vector trucks. Current Vector trucks, in the winter months, we rent out space. Cost us anywhere from 15 to 20,000 per year. We rent out garage space for our Vector trucks. So this whole entire area back here will be for Vector truck storage. This bay right here is a wash bay. It will have gangways on either side to be able to get up there. Any municipal building or any washing of municipal trucks is required to be done in an indoor wash bay now in an MS4 area. So essentially down at our wastewater treatment plant, we shouldn't be washing the trucks outside. This will give us a spot to be able to wash inside. It's also a requirement of the MS4 permit. The sewer department. So kind of this whole back area of the building here is sewer devoted to the sewer commission.
Okay. How about, excuse me, Paul, if I may, what about with respect to our trucks, let's say, is there going to be any room there or provisions made for repair of trucks there?
Yep. So that's the second spot I was going to go to, which is right in this middle area here.
So I must be reading your mind then, huh, Paul?
Without a doubt, you must be. That middle area there is going to be the mechanics bay. So we're going to have these two bays, straight drive-through, set up for a full mechanic shop with a large lift, and then also to be able to lift mobile lifts to be able to lift up some of our larger trucks.
Okay.
That will be used by both water and sewer. The eventual programming plan down the line would be to get certified mechanics that we'd have an operational garage almost to be able to bring both of our both water and sewer trucks to the same spot to be worked on by a certified mechanic.
Okay.
So the next thing beyond that, over in here, we have this will also house a water meter shop. As most of the commissioners know, water meters pay for They're what tracks our water, what we charge in water, excuse me, in sewer. So, I look at water meters as being kind of half and half between water and sewer, because the water meters is what allows us to be able to bill our sewer customers.
Okay.
So, you can see that
Yes.
multiple different portions of this building that'll be used by the sewer department. And we've had a lot of collaboration between water and sewer, with water assisting sewer. With just a couple of weeks ago, we had a main break that damaged the sewer line. Water department staff was on site. Them, along with the sewer, we used our water backhoes and trucks and equipment to be able to make the repair to the sewer line, rather than hiring a contractor to come in to make that repair.
Mhm.
So departmental savings across the board are pretty good. So
Okay. Right now, for the collection system, the vehicles that we use and the men and so forth and so on, where are those vehicles and those men housed out of? They're down in a treatment plant, aren't they?
yeah, so collection system is based out of the treatment plant. It's the small red trailer that's at the dead end of Kempton Street. But it's connected to our property, and we enter it through our property at the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
But
So I'm assuming the thinking is it's more advantageous because of our relationship, close relationship we had with the water department and so forth, that it would be better to consolidate the two into one location then.
well, for so Vector storage right now is stored off-site. In the wintertime, we don't store the Vectors at the plant because they need to be stored indoors because of freezing. We rent out space. We used to have a space on Brayton Ave that we rent, Brightman Street, Brayton Ave, excuse me, that we rented out a garage space. And now we have a different space that we rent out. Again, that's costs that we have to pay out for the rental space, and they'll be housed in here now.
One question I have.
Yes.
In the bid price, the architect says that you'll be using the additional alternative one
Yes.
will be implemented. Is that included in this cost? Or is that in addition to?
So that's included within this cost. So the $8,144,386 is included. The base bid by Mill City was $8,141,755. Alternate number one was $2,671.
But that's included in the it's included in the 8,141,715. Is that correct? Is that right, Tara? Paul?
144 on the letter. If you add the 2671 to the 8,141.
Okay.
You get that.
All right. I got it. All right.
Question,
Go ahead.
are we gonna have a groundbreaking ceremony on this one?
I learned from past history that we typically don't have groundbreaking ceremonies, but seeing that this one's an above ground facility like this, we could.
I
I
think
guess
we should.
my question to that would be, what's the date in which it's going to be happening?
So we don't have anything set yet. We need to go through the contract procedure and everything like that, if the board approves, and we'll have to go through setting up contracts, and we'll be able to get something set up.
Is there a time already scheduled in terms of the length of this project, or is that something that still needs to be negotiated?
No, so length of the project is expected between start to finish is about 18 months. So we'll be, I expect the building to take about a year for construction, then it'll be transferring over, then demolishing of the existing.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions with respect to this? I must say, I'm pretty impressed by the thinking that's going behind it to take advantage of all those situations that come up where we're going to have, places for people, places for equipment, places to maintain equipment, and have a decent place for our employees to base themselves out. I think it's a long time coming. The facility that you presently work out of is, I'm sure is on a National Historic District list somewhere down in Washington, but I think, it's definitely time, and I think this is a good thing to do. I personally myself, I think that 2.5 million that the Sewer Commission's commitment will be definitely an advantage for us.
Mhm.
Having said all that, anybody else have any other comments about it?
I just have a question. Oh, sorry. Do you want to go first, Richard?
That's okay.
I
Go
just
ahead.
have a question on the construction company. So I saw that the architect kind of vetted them and felt that they're satisfactory. Did the sewer commission, did we do our own vetting, or is this basically the water board saying that this construction company is satisfactory?
Yeah, so as you know, I do both water and sewer. I did look into the company as well. The company seems to have good standings. The architect did a full in-depth review of the company, and they felt that they were more than capable of performing the project.
One other question going forward. Because there's a share in the building, does that happen the same thing when you have to deal with electricity, maintenance costs, et cetera?
So, no, the plan would be for all that to be budgeted through the water department. Maintenance costs be budgeted through the water department.
Is Mr. Ty accommodating to that? Paul?
Yeah, yes. So he is, again, with the savings between, I was waiting for Mr. Ty to chime in. I thought he might have still been on, but
Okay, I just wanted to hold his feet to the fire so that in the future, we're not going to get any bills for occupying 1/3 of the place and so forth and so on. All right, okay, very good.
Question?
Anybody else have any other questions? Richard,
do.
I think you wanted to make a point.
Two things. We gonna have anything up on that roof of that building so that we can put in solar?
So the whole entire structure has been designed to be able to put solar on the roof. The electrical system has been designed to accept it. What seems to be working out best for a lot of different facilities now is just leasing the roof out. So rather than having to deal with solar panels and the maintenance and everything.
Right, that's good.
Through purchasing procurement reasons, it seems like that leasing out is the better option. So everything's prepped. Once the building's done, then we'll be able to look at that option.
Okay, and the other thing is, second floor. Could we allocate an area that we could have a conference room? Maybe a place where you could look over your bids and things like that instead of people trying to go park downtown?
Yeah, so that's something we can discuss. The downstairs, the first floor within the water admin area is gonna have a small conference room. Then
Yeah.
it's also gonna have a training room over here, which when we're not using it for training, it can be.
Okay,
area.
that's it. Good enough, Paul. Thank you.
On that note, I just thought of something else that, Paul, that I was wondering if there's any provisions for. Will there be any monitoring equipment installed where you can monitor what's going on in the water system? Or even maybe anything to do with the sewer system that, you know,
No.
you're gonna have personnel up there. You know, just maybe having some type of
Like a control room?
instrumentation that shows what's going on.
Yeah, no, definitely. So there are different areas that we could do that. We do have remote access to our SCADA systems on both water and sewer. So the people within this building would be able to remote
good.
into our SCADA system.
Would that have to be an add-on, or is that something that maybe we should take a look at now?
So we already have that remote, we already have that remote access in place, so it would just be them having to log on to their, onto the system.
Yeah, like a control room.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. I think if you had a provision for that, I think it would be advantageous, because at least from that point of view of that part of the city, you can at least have some monitoring of what's going on.
Yep.
Very good. Any other questions?
No?
Okay, if not, I'll
Take a
entertain a
motion.
motion to approve the allocation of $2,500,000 toward the construction of the new water department complex for sewer commission purposes. Anybody want to make that motion?
Make that motion.
Second,
Roll call,
President Almeida,
yes.
Member Souza,
Yes.
Member Bernier,
Yes.
Member Howe.
yes.
Thank you. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Next item is the proposed rates and budget for fiscal year 2022. The proposed budget amounting to $26,300,325. I believe we've all been sent in our packet the breakdown of what's involved to getting to that number. And also is I guess this is an ordinance sheet that we're going to be asked to make revisions to. Am I right, Paul?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
Go ahead, Paul, if you want to, there's a
So-
summary.
That's that time of the year again, where the water and sewer department need to have their rates into the city council by April 1st. The budgets need to be submitted by May 1st for ordinance. So I built this year's budget for the sewer department. As read, the total comes up to $325. What that does is it sets the sewer rate at $5.66. That's an increase of 7 cents from last year. And it sets the stormwater fee
Excuse me, did you say that was an increase or a decrease?
an
Increase.
increase of 7 cents from last year.
Okay,
The stormwater rate is set at $47 per ERU. That's a $1 increase from last year's stormwater rate. And that's per quarter.
okay.
The effect on the average household per year, and you got to think about the average household. The average household is, we deem it as 53 CCF per year. Based on an average household, that's what the usage is. And based on that usage, between the increase in the sewer fee and the increase in the stormwater fee, it's a total of $7.71 per year per the average household. Now, I always get questioned on that average household, on how we come up with that 53 CCF, and what does it mean? So that number was originally created when we did an evaluation for the CSO project and we did some budget analysis, probably in mid-2000s. So that's where that number originally came from. This year, I was wondering whether that number still holds true for an average household in Fall River, if we're still talking 53 CCF. So what I did, I took 20 different properties within the city, random picked, needed to find out how many people lived in those properties. So how many actual people lived in the household. On the properties, we have multifamily, so 3 families. There's a bunch of single families. Some of the single families have 2 people in it. Some of the single families have 5 people in it. Multifamilies with different numbers of people. So we took all that, the 20 households, and we averaged it all out. And the average came out to 53.76 CCF per year. That was totally random. So I'm in belief that that number is still good per average household. So again, you got to think that's for a single family or 1 floor of a multifamily. Multifamilies get different because they're only charged 1 stormwater fee, and then the water and sewer rates are charged, the CCFs per floor for the household. But that, I always get questioned, well, how do you get that number and how do you know that it's still good? So this year I did that test and the number was
Yeah, I'm familiar with what with the same questions that seem to be asked every year when you come up with the rate and what's the basis of it and how you sure, how'd you get the number and so forth.
yeah.
Um,
So
So the way from what you're telling me, if this is going to be an increase to the average, let's say homeowner, of $7.71 per quarter, per year.
Mhm.
per
This is
year,
per year.
Yes.
I believe last year's increase amounted to about $13 per year. So, we're looking at least the average household saving $6. That's minimal as it is. It's still it's a downward sign at this point in time. This, in looking over the numbers, not to interrupt you, Paul, but just so I can get some clarification for my own self. The biggest increase to this budget appears to be in the debt service in terms of expense.
Yes.
And it looked like looks like you're projecting about almost about $1.7 million in the increase in debt service.
Correct. Yeah, this year.
Fortunately enough, to offset that, we have supposedly the use of almost $2 million of free cash. Now, it's been a long time since I can ever remember us having free cash to that amount and being able to use it in a period of time, in which we're using setting up the budget. So, how is it you were able to do that?
So the free cash is set from last year, the rollout, the certification done by DOR after last year's closeout. The free cash was certified, the actual certifications here. The free cash was certified in the December time by DOR of what was left over from the prior fiscal year. So that's your expenses, your revenues minus your expenses, essentially, and what's left over. Last year, as everybody knows, was a very interesting year.
Challenging, more like it, right?
Without a doubt, for a portion of the time, we, cut kind of everything. A lot of usage of stuff was down. Materials and equipment, we were doing essential. Staff was doing essential work only. which still required our staff to be in. But some of the normal maintenance stuff that we were doing, we weren't doing just because of the unknowns of the coronavirus at the time. That kept some of our expenses lower in the last fiscal year. Revenues, I expected revenues to come in lower than what they actually did. Even though our usage wasn't down, our usage stayed average to prior years. The revenue, because I expected a lot of people to be not paying their bills. By the very end of the year, revenues were back up back in the June timeframe, which left a surplus of cash. If you go back into some of our retained earnings, FY20, you have the 1.9 million. Last year, FY19, if you remember, we only had 643,000 retained
Yeah.
earnings.
Right.
All that was plugged into the budget. And again, last year, that's why the rate increase was substantial, because the reduction of free cash able to be used within the budget. Now, again, I caution, and I always like to be upfront, I caution supporting this budget with that free cash, the 1.9 million that we're going to use as a revenue. If free cash decreases this coming fiscal year, next year's budget, the rate will have to increase to make up that free cash, just as it did last year.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
again, we always take and use the free cash that we have available to help minimize the rate impact to our customers.
Good.
So there was no magic rabbit that we pulled from anywhere. That was just the ebbs and flows of the municipal budget in a coronavirus situation.
I think the point I was trying to make, though, believe me, I wasn't trying to imply that that was the case, but I've always recalled numerous times in the past where we've plugged in a number, and by the time we get it through city council and so forth, there's always been that feeling that, holding back some of it to go into some type of rainy day account or something of that nature, and that I've got nothing against plugging this number in. I think it definitely helps us in where we want to be. But we're always subject to the scrutiny of when we present this to the city council. It's always there's always appears to be some change that has to be made.
Yeah, so just to update you on what you mentioned, which I think you were alluding to, the stabilization fund
Right.
that we have.
Yes.
So there's a total of just over $700,000 within our stabilization fund.
How much?
700,000.
Okay.
The state recommends that 10% of your budget, all financial recommend that 10% of the municipal budget be within a stabilization fund. So we're well below that.
Okay.
Mr. Sullivan years ago started putting $100,000 from free cash into the stabilization fund. Last year, as I'm sure the commission knows, if followed the budget proceedings, right at the very end, the council voted an increase the rate additional 4 cents to add $100,000 to be transferred to the stabilization account right within the fiscal year budget. So now, rather than taking from the free cash, we're going to be transferring that from the fiscal year budget into the stabilization fund. So we're still working to build that stabilization.
Okay. Okay. Good.
There's one question on the overall totals are not off, but I noticed like in the salaries and wages category, a very big increase, but then quite a decrease in the other personnel costs. Is just a shifting around of where that allocation from?
Yeah, so what happens, you have the decrease, so positions that we had that were being developed, so the engineering aid tech was carried in other personnel cost. They weren't carried in the salary line item. So they were filled this fiscal year, they're being filled. So they moved from the other personnel cost up to the salary line item.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you look at that whole entire column, you look at the total salaries at the bottom, hasn't changed much. It was just a shifting from unfilled to positions. Once they were developed and filled in this fiscal year, they moved up to the salary line item.
I got one other question for you, Paul. Why do we have to pay a water and sewer CSO charge?
So that's primarily for our water that we use down at our wastewater treatment plant and the other pump stations throughout the city.
Okay. Yeah, so that's not something that's picked up under Veolia's contract.
No,
No.
just to see where the water's going.
Yeah, so the city directly pays for all utilities, chemicals, and everything like that. That's not paid for by Veolia.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can we go back to the new building? I have a question about something advancing on that. Can we allocate X number of dollars for a backup generator for that facility?
That is, there is one it's within the contract already.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. That's part of the 8 million, you're saying, right, Tom?
That's it.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any other questions with respect to the proposed budget and the rate increase? Again, this is all subject to review by, is this going through finance? It has to go through finance, right?
Yeah, so typically I'll submit this budget along with the water budget prior to April 1st.
Right.
The budget and the rate and increases. And then the council will pick them up and discuss them, as they see fit as we move forward. Again, if there's any major changes to either the rate or the budget, I will be back in front of this commission.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions? I see two things needing here. One is to make a motion to approve the budget. And I guess the next motion would be to approve the rates that to be established on the city ordinance. Is that correct, Paul?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else, unless anybody else has any other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the proposed budget for fiscal year 22 at $26,300,325. Anybody want to make that motion?
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
President Almeida,
Yes.
Member Souza,
Yes.
Member Bernia,
Yes.
Member Howiak.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's going to be interesting to see how this all works out. Okay, with respect to changing the rates for the ordinance, Paul, I think we can do this in one lump sum. Am I correct, or does this have to be done by sections?
No, I believe it could be done by one vote as laid out within the ordinance modification that was given to the commission. Just for clarification, the new rates would be $5.66 as the new sewer rate, $2.66 for the industrial user rate, and $47 per ERU per quarter for the stormwater rate.
Okay. As so stated, will someone make a motion to approve the rates as so stated for purposes of the ordinance?
I'll make the
Make a
motion.
motion? Right. I'll
Need a
second it.
Roll call?
President Almeida,
Yes.
Member Souza,
Yes,
Member Bernia,
Yes.
Member Howiak.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that takes us to item number 7, updates on ongoing projects. Paul, is there anything you want to update us on?
We spoke about contract 1 and the progress of that. Contract is making project progress. There are some other outstanding change orders that you'll be seeing in future meetings. One of them will be a credit for SOE, the contractor through his means and methods developed the plan not to have to use the designed SOE that was in contract. The main entrance site work, we're removing some of the work in this contract so that it'll be able to, so that it won't be damaged in contract 2, and then we're developing to do that in contract 2. And then there's also a ground and conductor size change, which will be an increase, which will be coming towards you at a future meeting. Other than that, the contract is moving along very well. As of now, they have mentioned a bit of a slip in their timetable, but they're looking for options to be able to make up that time, so they don't feel that it'll impact their overall schedule.
mhm.
Will there be a lag of, I don't know if you just said that, but is there a lag between 1 and 2? Once one's done, is there like a lag that's going to take place maybe because of, the receiving of equipment and so forth and so on before it starts? Are you expecting any?
Not much of a lag. So we just put out, we just received pre-qualifications for contract 2 from all the contractors and sub bidders. We'll be evaluating those over the next couple of weeks, and then moving forward with the bidding process. Our hope is that July timeframe will be looking to award contract 2. Contract 1, all the equipment has been ordered, and it's either in place or staged and ready to be in place, so there's not really any delays on that type of stuff. Contract 2, you will see, not as much of a heavy construction presence for a little while, because with contract 2, yeah, like you said, and sorry it took me so long to get to probably your point, there'll be a point where the contractor's just getting rolling with doing his submissions and doing everything before he gets on site and starts doing heavy work. So there will be a brief time in between.
Okay. Have you heard anything from the state as to when they're going to start dealing with Route 24 and
Next year.
us having to deal with the crossover that's going to go under it?
No, so I have not heard anything on schedule for that.
Okay.
That's the Route 24 crossing over in the Crestbrook area. I haven't heard anything from DOT on when they're going to be scheduling that, but I will.
Yeah, they gotta start up the asphalt plant.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, no, they gotta start up one closer, that's what it is.
Yeah, there's the contractor that's out there doing the work, PJ Keaton, but they're small mixed batches, so I expect with it, I think DOT may have a I don't know if it's March 15th or April 15th time where the regular construction projects can't start up till then.
Yeah.
Okay. And work's proceeding on the South End pump station.
Yep.
I
so
see.
that-
I went by it today. It looked like things are a lot of heavy equipment on site, and looks like it's moving along.
Yeah, so just a contract update on South End. It is moving along very well. They've completed the roof. They're working on all the electrical panels hung inside. They're working on all the wiring and stuff like that. deep wet wells in, the valve vault is in, plumb piping's in the majority of the piping. They have concrete fill to do within those. So yeah, that contractor is moving right along.
Okay. All right. Anything else? If not, it'll take us to the last item on the agenda, which is other potential matters. Does anybody have any other potential matters? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second,
Roll call?
President Almeida,
Yes.
Member Souza,
yes.
Member Bernia,
Yes.
Member Howiak.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you, everybody. Glad to see you all again. Stay healthy and take care.
Thank you.
Paul, thanks very
Take
much.
care.
Tom, bye.
Thank you.